Thank you very much for being here, Chairman Powell, and I appreciate your patience with our schedule. Votes in committee and on the floor are often difficult to predict. But welcome to the Joint Economic Committee's annual hearing with the chair of the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors. Chairman Powell, I'd like to extend you a warm welcome. I look forward to our discussion today. Our economy has finally recovered from the financial crisis of 2008. Unemployment has reached a 50-year low of 3.5%. It reached that in September and most recently stood at 3.6%. The share of working-age adults with a job has returned mercifully to pre-crisis levels. However, despite this welcome return to normalcy within our economy, and in terms of employment measures, many aspects of our economy remain unusual, and particularly so for central bankers. Inflation remains persistently low. In 4 of the past 5 quarters, inflation has been below the Federal Reserve's 2% target. Treasury yields also remain low, with a 10-year borrowing rate of just 1.9%. Interest rates that were once considered extraordinarily low have become a long-run expectation. These phenomena of low inflation and low long-term interest rates are not unique to the United States, but rather they're echoed in most of the developed markets around the world today. This moment brings with it some challenges, such as building a framework for fighting recessions in a low interest rate environment. However, it also brings some significant opportunities. With inflation still in check, we may have yet room to expand employment even further. As ever, it'll be important for the Federal Reserve Board to communicate how it addresses these challenges and these opportunities. In this regard, the greater transparency demonstrated by the Federal Reserve during your chairmanship, Mr. Chairman, is to be commended. In particular, the Fed has conducted a number of Fed Listens events around the country, including an historic conference held in June to hear feedback on current policy conduct, as well as to better understand the effects of monetary policy at the local level. Not only will these initiatives promote trust in the Federal Reserve and in its decision-making, they'll provide important information relevant to monetary policy from Americans who do not always get a seat at that table, and in the past haven't been able to understand how these things operate as well as they are able to today. I'll now introduce our witness. Mr. Powell is the 16th and current chairman of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, serving in that role since 2018. He first joined the Board of Governors in 2012. Prior to his appointment to the board, Mr. Powell was a visiting scholar at the Bipartisan Policy Center, where he focused on federal and state fiscal issues. Mr. Powell previously served as an assistant secretary and as undersecretary of the Treasury under President George H.W. Bush, with responsibility for policy on financial institutions, the Treasury debt market, and related areas. Prior to joining the administration, he worked as a lawyer and investment banker in New York City. So we thank Chairman Powell for attending today's hearing and look forward to hearing his insights. You're now recognized for your testimony, Mr. Powell.